Hello my dear students, how are you all? Fine? All taking good care of yourselves? I have seen the video where you're all following, safety norms, right? Good, very good. Okay, so we had completed last time the introduction of flower and we had done two parts of it, right? The four out of the four whorls. Which two whorls did we do last time? Correct. Calyx and corolla. Today we will see the next two whorls of the flower, and that is the reproductive parts, the essential whorls, and that they are androecium and gynoecium. Alright, so I hope you're ready with your book and pen to note down all the important points. Okay, let's quickly start. Now we are observing two terms here, thalamus and pedicel. Alright, so you need to understand the four whorls of a flower are always arranged on the thalamus. Okay, so it is on the thalamus that you can see the sepals are arranged, right? The petals are arranged, and the next two whorls, that is androecium and gynoecium. So it is the plate, the disc, which is the upper swollen part of the stalk, and that is called as the thalamus. Alright, pedicel is nothing but the stalk or the attachment to the stem. So the flower is attached to the stem with a thin stalk, which is called as the pedicel. Alright, and the upper part of the pedicel is your disc shaped swollen part, which is nothing but the thalamus. And on the thalamus you have the different whorls of the flower arranged. The outermost was sepals, second is petals, then your androecium, and then the gynoecium. Alright, so you understand what is thalamus and pedicel? But if you observe or look around, you will find that many flowers are without the stalk or without the pedicel. Let's have a look at them. So the flowers without a stalk are called as sessile flowers, and the ones with pedicel are called as the pedicellate. So what is the other word for stalk? Pedicel. Okay, so I have given you two examples. Now if you look here, look at these flowers. Can you see the small flowers, right? But you can't see the stalk. You can't see the pedicel to which, with the help of which it attaches. It is directly attached on the stem. The flowers are directly attached on the stem. Okay, so these type of flowers are called as sessile flowers. Whereas you can see the slender stalk here, the pedicel. This is a hibiscus or a shoe flower. The common name is shoe flower. We also call this as hibiscus. Okay, so this flower has got a proper slender stalk to which is helping it attach to the stem. So this is a pedicellate flower and this is a sessile flower. I hope you understand the difference between the two. So sometimes flowers are without stalk, they are called as sessile, and the ones with the stalk are called as pedicellate. Now let's move on to the next whorl, and that is androecium. So androecium is the male reproductive part of the flower. Okay, it is also the third whorl of a flower. So when the whorls are arranged in a concentric manner, the outermost was sepals, the second one was corolla or petals, and the third one is your androecium. It consists of thin structures with a swollen top called as the stamens. Now here you can see these are all stamens. Okay, so many of them, you can see it's countless, you actually can't count, and they are attached here. So there are multiple stamens here, and this entire structure is the androecium. It contains the male reproductive cells or the pollen grains, which we all commonly know. The pollen grains are nothing but the male reproductive part of the plant. All right. So the stamen is the male reproductive part of the plant which contains the male cells. Let us have a detailed understanding of the structure of androecium. Now see here, this is the slender stalk which is called as the filament. All right. The swollen tip of it is called as the anther. So androecium is made up of stamens. What does stamen consist? It consists of a narrow, slender stalk called as the filament and a swollen bilobed structure. Can you see the demarcation? Can you see the line in the center? So there's this side is lobe 1 and this side is lobe 2. I hope you are able to make out that thin line in the center, and that is why it is called as a bilobed. What is bi here? It means two. It's a two-lobed structure on the top which is called as the anther. Alright. And the anther will contain the pollen grains which are also known as the male reproductive cells. Now we have opened up the anther and we are seeing inside that these are the pollen sac. Okay, and you can see those dotted structures. If you just try to focus here, there are certain spots mentioned here. Those spots or dots are nothing but the pollen grains, and they are in large numbers. All right, so the pollen grains are formed inside this anther lobe. Okay, so the anther lobe will produce the male reproductive part and they are called as the pollen grains. Understood, students? So what is androecium? It is the male reproductive part of the flower. What does it contain? It contains the stamens. Okay, and what is a stamen made up of? It is made up of two parts: the long, slender, narrow filament and a swollen bilobed structure at the top called as anther. Where are the pollen grains produced? The pollen grains, which are nothing but the male reproductive cells, they are produced inside the anther lobes. All right, did you understand this? Okay. The female reproductive part of a flower is the gynoecium. Okay, now as a student, I always used to get confused between androecium and gynoecium. Which is male, which is female? So the easiest way to remember is what? Very silly. You know what? Gynoecium starts with which alphabet? G. Girls start with which alphabet? The word girl? G. So girl stands for gynoecium. That means it's a female. So the gynoecium can be easily now remembered with the help of this tip. Okay, so G for girls, G for gynoecium. That means gynoecium is the female reproductive part of the flower. Okay, and it is also the fourth whorl of a flower. See, look at this. Now in the last image we had seen the androecium. Connected to it is the gynoecium. Okay, so the gynoecium is made up of pistils. This structures here, you can see the velvety structures, deep reddish maroon colored structures are nothing but the pistil. Okay, there are two names to be remembered. So gynoecium is made up of a flask-like structure present in the center of the flower called as pistil. The pistil is also known as carpel. I know it is little bit too much to remember so many terms. That is why I am taking it little slowly and breaking it into as many small parts as we can. Alright, so that you remember the terms easily. And how you are going to do? I hope you can make a mind map out of this. Right? You can write flower, then make 4 whorls, make 4 arrows, calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium, and list down all the terms that come under calyx, that come under corolla, that come under androecium, and comes under gynoecium. So that way it will be very easy for you to remember the names. Alright, so let us see, what does a carpel consist of? A carpel consists of 3 parts called as the ovary, style and stigma. Students, in your textbook, the order given is not in this way. But I want all of you to remember the structure of carpel or structure of pistil only in this order. I'll tell you why. Okay, if you remember this order, ovary style stigma, when you are drawing the flower during your assessment or you're learning the parts, it becomes very easy to remember. Ovary style stigma. Ovary style stigma. So whenever you're studying, I always want you to remember the parts of carpel in this order as ovary, style and stigma. Now have a look here. This is your ovary, okay? This is your style and this is the stigma. Same way, this is your ovary, the swollen part. The tube-like structure is the style and the tip of the style is stigma. Now what is ovary? Ovary is the swollen part present at the base of the pistil. So this entire structure is pistil. This entire structure is pistil. It is also called as carpel, right? So the base of the pistil is swollen and which contains eggs, all right? But these eggs are called as ovules because the word egg is restricted to the animal kingdom, right? In the plant kingdom, the egg cells or the egg-like structures are called as ovules. So I have shown you a longitudinal section. You know what is longitudinal? Why I have written L over here? That means I have cut open the ovary in this manner, okay? In a vertical manner, I have cut open and I have shown you what is there inside the ovary. So what you can see is nothing but the ovules. Alright, and eventually the ovary will mature to form the fruit and the ovules will mature to form the seeds. Alright, now from the ovary, what we can see is the tube-like structure, a slender tube-like structure called as the style. Alright, and the end of the style, the tip of the style is nothing but the stigma, which is extremely sticky. What could be the reason? Why is the stigma sticky? Right? Why? Because the pollen grains from the androecium should get stuck here so that the male cells, the male reproductive cells or the male gametes can go down, reach till here, till the ovules, and then the fertilization will take place so that we get the baby plant, right? And that is the reason why the stigma is always sticky. So coming back to our pistil, what is the structure? It is called as the pistil or carpel. And what is the base of the carpel or pistil called as ovary, tube-like style and stigma. The stigma could be one or it could be broken into 5 parts as we see in case of hibiscus. Now hibiscus is always studied as an example of a complete flower because it clearly shows all the 4 whorls. So when we come back to school, I would want all of you to get one hibiscus. Each one of you will get it and then we can study the parts in details. And at that time you already will be well versed with the 4 whorls. I will show you how to cut open or dissect open the flower, remove the petals very carefully, remove the sepals very carefully, and we can actually take out this structure. Alright, not this, it will appear something like this. This is very typically a pistil of a shoe flower or a hibiscus flower. Alright, it appears just like this. You have to be very careful, but we'll definitely do it. It's very interesting to see. Alright, so this is gynoecium, which consists of carpels or pistils. And what is carpel made up of? Ovary, style and stigma. Alright, how will you differentiate between androecium and gynoecium? Gynoecium, G stands for girls, so it becomes the female reproductive part of the plant. I hope all of you will be able to remember this tip and not get confused while you're remembering the concepts, trying to understand the concepts so that it becomes easier. Alright, so today we have done the male reproductive part of the flower, which is androecium, and the female reproductive part, which is the gynoecium. You also have understood that there are two types of flowers. One is with a stalk or a pedicel called as pedicellate flowers, and one is without a pedicel called as the sessile flowers. Alright, that's all for today, so that you can understand and grasp this much easily and jot down the points. Okay, so next time when we meet, we will do the types of flowers and pollination. Alright, do take good care of yourselves and stay safe. Bye.